36 hours ago, I released a video. It was an emergency crypto update where I warned you guys on some very major bearish signs that I was seeing across the market. Now, it wasn't received very well, and I was called some less than favorable things. However, it ended up that I was actually right, and we did get a pretty massive crash across the market. Now, there are some things that I saw leading up to it I'm going to talk about in this video, along with what are my expectations now that we did get that crash. Are we done with the bull market? Are we just going to go into a bear market? Well, I'm going to discuss this, and you really do not want to miss it. So go ahead and like and subscribe this video. And not only that, comment below if you were able to take my advice and was able to save yourself from this massive crash and have money available to buy the dip. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Now, as you guys are seeing, 36 hours ago, I posted this video. Now, on here, this is the main thing that I saw across the board. We had this very clear weekly breaker that was established, and on the 4-hour, you can see how we tested it, broke above. However, on the retest, we failed this retest and had a major show of weakness. I talk about shows of weakness all the time on this channel, and this is a perfect example of a show of weakness. We fell through. We should have held, but we did not. This was a show of weakness. Then when we came back up, we did not show a lot of strength going into this movement, and sure enough, we came up there, tested it, and then collapsed. This is perfect example of a show of weakness and how to play it. I posted on Twitter this fractal back in 15 September, 5 days ago, really talking about this just as a warning to everyone being like, this is really interesting and I don't like the way this is playing out. Well, what happened? We did get a crash. It was a pretty substantial one. Right now, we have lost around 12%, which is around what I was expecting since I said for a very long time, 10 to 15% drop is what I'm expecting across the board on crypto. Now, what else did I see on this to give me the assumption that we were going to crash? Well, the other really big one is this right here. We had this very clear symmetrical triangle that was formed. And you guys can see touch, came down here. Now, we had a little bit of a deviation over there. We had a little bit more of a deviation up here, and then we finally crashed through the bottom side. Now, you can see really good deviation. This is called a bull trap. Fell through, retested, continuation to the downside. This is a perfect use of a symmetrical triangle, okay? We don't really know which direction we're going to break out, so the best thing to do is to wait until there's a clear breakout and then play the breakout. And that's exactly what we did. So everything went really good on this play. Now, the next thing that I was looking at that was giving me a lot of caution was the DXY. The DXY has been increasing over the last few days. And that's really concerning because the DXY is a show of strength on the US dollar. Now, you may be saying to yourself, why should I care about the US dollar? I'm a crypto trader, right? However, it's actually very important to keep track of what's going on here because the US dollar is considered a stable asset that people try to find safe haven in. So whenever there's a lot of volatility in the speculative markets, i.e. crypto, people are going to look for the US dollar for security. So they're selling their crypto for a US dollar. And the exact opposite also applies. Whenever people are buying crypto, you can also think of people selling their US dollar for crypto. It's the exact same thing. So generally, this chart moves inversely as the crypto market. And the same exact thing with the stock market. And of course, as you guys are aware, the stocks have had a pretty decent drop today. Looks like they're recovering really well right now. However, they did have a really nice drop. All right. Now, so the DXY, the total 2, the fractal, and the last thing that really got me curious on this was the daily close. We had a very strong daily close on Bitcoin, which I'm going to show you in a second. Right here, we had a really strong daily close. However, as soon as we had the close, what happened? We had a crash, okay? We had an absolute crash that just started happening. So The daily close was very strong, but we had a crash. What this tells me is they were doing something called painting a candle. What that means is the whales intentionally hold the price up just long enough to get that snapshot of the daily close, and they go ahead and pull all their funds back, all that support, and let it fall back down. So that's what we essentially saw, and that gave me a lot of warning across the market. So those are the 4 things that I saw that made me write that video, or made me record that video. But of course, the big question is, well, what happens now, right, guys? Is this thing over? Are we just going to crash down to 14,000 and just disappear? Not necessarily, okay? Not necessarily. Now, we definitely do have some weakness across the market. However, we also have a lot of really, really strong support right below where we currently are today. So on this level, let's go ahead and dive right in. This was a massive range that has been formed for a very long time, okay? You can see this. It's around here down to around here. This is about the range which I've been looking at. So you can see you have a series of, you have a level to where we just keep oscillating between, and it has not been tested from the top side. Now, we did get a massive breakout over here, but we once again fell back into that range. Well, we actually have broken into a new range, and now it looks like we're coming back down to retest it. Now, on this retest, just like we saw before, we want to see this retest hold. This is incredibly important. If we fall back into this range, that is incredibly bearish, and that's why for quite a substantial amount of time, I've had these arrows signified on here. I've expected something where we come down here, retest, continue the upside. Now, if we do fall in this range and continue down, this is not a good sign, and I will actually be looking to exit the market at this point. So if we fall down anywhere past this level and get some high time frame closes, that to me is terrifying, and that's what we do not want to see for this market. Now, I do think that this weekly breaker is extremely important. I'm going to show you right here. I think this is an extremely important level, but I would take this bounce only as an opportunity to exit the market and nothing else, all right? And if we did fall down from there, my ultimate target would be down here around the 200 weekly moving average, which, oh, not long enough of a time frame. There we go. 200 weekly moving average, right around 16,000 today. All right, so that's my overall thought process of what's going on. But I don't think it's very likely that we do fall down. I do think it is extremely likely we come down here, touch it, and then continue to the upside. That is my primary bias. Now, why is that, of course? That's what we all want to know. Well, it's not just Bitcoin we're looking at, right? If we are altcoin traders, our primary thing we're looking at is going to be here, the total 2 chart, okay? And on the total 2 chart, as you guys are probably very well aware if you've been a part of this channel for any period of time, the weekly total 2 chart has been my absolute key for success on the altcoin market. We have this breaker established, Come up here, once again, establish this breaker. When we came down here, we fell through, just like we saw earlier with that weekly breaker falling through on Bitcoin a few days ago. We fell through, came back up, did a bearish retest, just like we saw 2 days ago, came back down, and then we came back through it and reclaimed that weekly breaker. However, we have not had a bullish retest of this level, and I think it'd be extremely healthy if we were to get one. So something like this would actually be an incredibly amazing buy opportunity if we get it across all of our altcoins. I think it would absolutely hold if we get to that point. Now, if we lose this level, that would signify a massive, massive shift in my entire philosophy on this market. And there's a few reasons why. For number one, this is going to also go below the 200 moving average. To me, that's terrifying. I do not want to see the total 2 ever drop below there again. Now, the next thing, that the reason why I'd be bullish on this is because you have this right here. This is going to be the same area where, oh wait, wrong part. I'm sorry about that. Let me fix that real quick. Here we go. This is also going to be the area of the golden pocket retracement, okay? Golden pocket retracement also happens in this area. So if we lose the weekly breaker, if we lose the golden pocket, and we lose a 200 moving average, to me, that would be terrifying and a really, really big show of weakness for the entire market. I do not want to see that. All right. Now, the next one to look at is going to be the Bitcoin dominance chart. The Bitcoin dominance chart. Now, this one's a little weird right now because there's a lot of people fleeing to stable markets due to Dow Jones collapsing, due to Bitcoin collapsing, all this stuff. So it's not that surprising. We are seeing a massive increase in our Bitcoin dominance. However, just today, we've actually seen Bitcoin lose some strength to the alts. This is a good sign. That means people are still going into our altcoins and not just fleeing to Bitcoin alone. Now, we did get a nice little pop over the last couple hours, but I want to see this start to rest and continue to go back down. Ultimately, I really want to see new lows set on this Bitcoin dominance chart because Bitcoin dominance means how much Bitcoin is in the market relative to altcoins. Since we're altcoin traders, I do want to see it drop. Now, as I've listed out here, it very well could come up here, retest this 3-day breaker, and then continue back down. But ultimately, I do want to see it come and continue back down to the downside. Now, again, if you guys have been a part of this channel for a while, you know you've probably seen this rising wedge. You've probably seen this bear flag, right? Clear impulse, corrective structure, bear flag, ultimate target way down here. Okay, these are things that I do want to see eventually, and this would entirely let our alts run absolute wild if we get anywhere near this sort of level. So DXY, we want to, or not DXY, BTC dominance, we want to see it go back up and curve back down and keep crashing. That's what we really, really, really want to see if we're bullish on our altcoins. Now, the next thing, like I've already mentioned to you guys, the DXY, right? The DXY is really high, and I want to see it curve and continue back the downside. Something like what's happening right now. Now, is this the end? Is this all we're going to get? I don't know. It's way too early to tell, but I do want to see this start to curve and go back down because this means that people are once again gaining faith in volatile assets, the speculative assets. Are going to be our stock market and also the cryptocurrency, right? We want to see this curve, want to see it continue back down. And ultimately, I really, really, really want to see it drop down below this trend line. This trend line has been my primary level that I've been looking at for a very long time. Okay, it's been acting as a very strong resistance. We finally got back, we finally got above it. However, we're staying above it, and I really want to see it go to the downside. All right, if we drop and really start dropping down here into the 80s and the high 80s, that's when our alts are going to absolutely explode across the board, okay? Outside of that, let's go ahead and look at the Ethereum dominance or the Ethereum BTC pairing. Another thing we need to be watching. And Ethereum, actually, the Ethereum BTC pairing actually looks really, really good right now. And that gives me a ton of confidence that the bull market is going to continue, all right? This chart looks great. Now, I drew this out a long time ago. This, to me, is the last line in the sand for our altcoins. If we drop below here, I think that's a very, very key level. But as you can see, we still have a lot of space before then. So what happened over here? We had a clear impulse, clear corrective structure, clear impulse. Looks like a corrective structure. So hopefully we're going to continue with the impulse and keep this movement going, right? That's what we really want to see. Now, why is Ethereum so important? Because Ethereum is also going to be our biggest altcoin across the board. So when Ethereum does really well, the rest of the alts generally do well as well. So Ethereum BTC, another one we want to look at. Right now, we're holding up really, really nicely. This daily breaker is going to be my basically line in the sand. I really don't want to see it get lost, but even if we do lose it, we can still come down here and still be okay. Ultimately, though, this right here, this is still the level that I do not want to see lost in any capacity. I will have a lot of hesitation if we come down below here. Now, another thing we want to look at are there are a lot of our altcoins that look really, really, really good right now, okay? And one of them is going to be one of my tried and true, my favorites. It's going to be HBAR. Guys, I know, okay? HBAR has dropped down lower than I was hoping so, but this coin looks amazing. You have a weekly breaker right here, weekly breaker right here. On the daily level, you have this one, and as you can tell, it came down here and had a really, really nice push to the upside, okay? This is very, very healthy and what I want to see across the board for our altcoins, all right? Now, on HBAR specifically, we do have this one level, and I really want to see it reclaim. If we reclaim this, I think the alt market is going to continue across the entire board, okay? I am that serious. I think this is going to be a big catalyst and a litmus test for our entire market. This level right here is extremely significant. If we lose this massive weekly breaker and get below 29, we have some serious issues across the board, okay? And another one I'm going to show you guys is going to be Omisi Go. Omisi Go has had an absolutely incredible day despite the fact that we have been bearish across the entire market, okay? Despite the fact we've been bearish, Omisi Go has continued on on a run. This is not something that you're going to see if we're actually done with the entire bull market, okay? So Omisi Go is another one of my litmus test ones where I'm really happy about that. So as long as you still have coins which are making new highs while we're having crashes, like, I think we're going to be okay. All right. Outside of that, guys, I'm not concerned. I think everything looks great. I would not stress. If you guys are not a part of my Discord, you are seriously missing out. I cannot stress that enough. I have been updating all of my people on this chat all the time. Just look at this. Ever since last night, I've posted so many times, keeping you guys up to speed on what's going on across the board. I've done a ton of coin analysis and everything else. So outside of that, I will see you guys in the next video. Like always, deuces, boys.